Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome to SBR revision series for September 2021, and we are going to start with the first IFRS 1. Okay, so IFRS 1 is for the entities who are adopting IFRS for the first time. That means before this they have been adopting some other standards such as UK GAAP or US GAAP, okay, or any other standard. So there are three things that you need to know about IFRS 1. One is date of transition. When is the date of transition? Second, when you adopt IFRS standards, what are the changes? And practical factors. You have to look out the practical factors also when you decide to adopt to IFRS standard. Okay, so let's define what's the date of transition. Date of transition is the date. Okay, it is the beginning of the earliest period for which an entity represents a full comparative information is in its first financial statement. Okay, it is not the first financial statement that is prepared under IFRS 1. No, date of transition is the first financial statements which has a comparative information. That means a year earlier than that. Okay, that is known as date of transition. Through this table, this diagram, you will be able to understand it better. And from your exam kit questions, you can do white work on IFRS 1. And IFRS 1 is not a very frequently tested question for your SBR, but since it has come once or twice, so it has a chance of coming, right? Now there are three dates that you have to know. Okay, so the date of transition to IFRS, this is the date, the first day of the comparative period. Okay, then 31st December 2001, this is the comparative figures for the first set of published IFRS financial statements. You will be having the comparative period for one whole year, that means 12 months. And finally your first set of published IFRS financial statements will be on the next year, 31st December 2001. Okay, from the comparative figure 1 year, that means 12 months after the comparative figure is published, you'll be having a first set of published IFRS financial statements. Basically in this you have to know the practical factor why they want to look for before they adopt to IFRS, and also what they need to do. Okay, so when you adopt to IFRS standard, okay, you have to state the opening IFRS statement of financial position at the date of transition. That means when you have decided to go for the transition, you must recognize all assets and liabilities that are required by IFRS standard. You must not recognize any assets or liabilities which are not permitted by IFRS standard. Maybe previously under different standard you were recognizing the assets and liabilities, but now that you have adopted IFRS standard, if you cannot recognize it under IFRS standard, you cannot recognize it assets and liabilities. Okay, then you have to reclassify assets and liabilities and equity components now in accordance with IFRS standard. And you have to measure also all assets and liabilities in accordance with IFRS standard. So all these items we are talking about assets and liabilities only. Now let us go to the profit and loss. So in the profit and loss, you'll be having a gain or a loss. It could be a gain, it could be a loss. Because when you're translating to IFRS standard from your local standard, you will be incurring some gain or loss. So that gain or loss is recorded in retained earnings in profit and loss account. Okay, that will be the only item that will be recognized in profit and loss account. But this IFRS 1, if they give you in your exam, they will not tell you to make a financial statements under IFRS standard. No, they will not tell you. Maybe from a discussion perspective, they might give you these things. Okay, so you have to focus more on the discussion. Now let us see the practical factor. Before you adopt to IFRS standard, no one just quickly decides that today I'm going to adopt IFRS standard and then they just started applying it the next day. No, there are some practical factor which you need to think about, because there are some pros and cons of this adopting to IFRS standard. So number one, bonuses and related performance related pay. Will it have an impact on your profit? For example, you have been receiving bonuses based on your profit. Now you are adopting to IFRS standard. So if your profit changes, then your bonuses also will change. Second, IT system. Does your IT system needs updating or replacing to comply with IFRS standard? Okay. Convenient covenant on loan. Will it be breached if you adopt to IFRS standard? Because sometimes it happens that because of IFRS standard, now you have to recognize liabilities which you didn't recognize previously. So because of that, maybe your loan covenant might breach. Earnings per share, will it reduce? Perception, how the analysis will view this. Will they view it positively or negatively? And staff knowledge. Remember, to adopt to IFRS standard, you should have knowledge of the standards. Okay? So is it sufficient? Do they have the knowledge? Because without that, you cannot adopt IFRS standard. So that's it for IFRS 1. IFRS 1 is a very short standard. And next standard is very, very important standard. Okay? And this is a new standard also for your SBR. It was not there in your financial reporting, IFRS 2, which is your share-based payment. So we'll be covering this in the next video. And till then, thanks for watching.